I'm going to call the October 23rd Board of Directors meeting for the Costa Mesa Sanitary District to order and ask you all to please rise and join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Vice President Schaefer.
Okay. I'm going to stay seated because I can't read this. As we all look ahead to pray for a fun and happy, fun times, let us give thanks to God for those people in another part of the world that's praying for God that they have food, water, freedom, and from suffering. Thank you, God, for all our families here to enjoy our lives most of freedom. We are so fortunate. And please say a prayer for the board to end. Amen.
Okay. Roll call, Madam Clerk, please.
Thank you. Director Brett Eccles,
Here.
Vice Secretary Robert Uten,
Here.
Secretary Arthur Perry,
Here.
Vice President Arlene Schaefer,
Here.
President Mike Schaefer.
I'm here. Thank
Thank you.
you. Late communications,
None, Mr. President.
any ceremonial matters this evening?
No, sir.
Thank you. Public comments. Time for anyone in the audience that would like to address the board on items not on the agenda. Seeing no one, we'll go to the consent calendar. Any staff or director that would like to pull any item? All right, we'll look for an action on the consent calendar. Second. Motion a second. Discussion. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Scott, we'll go right to General Manager's reports, item 1.
President Caitlin Tran, our finance manager, will be giving this report.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Mr. President and members of the board. In front of you is the fiscal year 2022-23 annual compliance report for capacity charges. During the fiscal year 2022-23, the facilities revolving fund collected at $55,914 in capacity charges. As of June 30th, 2023, the total ending balance in the facilities revolving fund is $252,157. During the fiscal year 2023-24 and 2024-25 biannual budget process, the Board of Directors approved to transfer $200,000 from the facilities revolving fund to the wastewater fund to demolish the Hitchcrafter building for the district yard in the fiscal year 2023-24 budget. And that concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Caitlin. Do any of the directors have any questions or comments? All right. So this will receive and file on this report. I assume you'll go right into number 2 as well, Caitlin?
Yes. The second item is the carryover appropriations and carryover encumbrances from fiscal year 2022-23 and fiscal year 2020 to fiscal year 2024 23-24. The carryover appropriations represent budgeted fiscal year 2022-23 appropriations for goods and or services that were not expended as of June 30th, but are expected to be expended in the current fiscal year 2023-24. Encumbrances represent purchase orders issued for goods and or services which were not received or completed during the prior fiscal year by June 30th. Staff recommends that the Board of Directors approve the reappropriations of funds in the fiscal year 2023-24 for the carryover items from the prior fiscal year. The total amount to be carried over for the wastewater fund is $45,209. And for the wastewater fund is $3,091,481. And that concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions from anybody? Caitlin, you're doing too good of a job. I get you and your staff, so thank you.
Thank you.
This is an action item, I believe.
Yes,
What's the resolution?
It's just to approve the action.
Move for approval.
Second, any discussion on the item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion again carries unanimous. Thank you. And finally, I think you get number 3 as well.
yes, my pleasure. In front of you is the first quarter budget review for fiscal year 2023-24. Based on the limited spending through September 30th, staff is projecting the solid waste fund to be over budgeted by $47,000 by June 30th, 2024. Due to the current trends of 12% increase in the organics disposal tonnage and the 1% increase in the recycling disposal tonnage as of the first quarter. The wastewater fund is projected to meet the budgeted amount on June 30th, 2024. Please note projections with only 3 months or less of activity as the basis should not be relied upon. As the year progresses, these projections become more precise. As of September 30th, 2023, the district has not received any apportionments from the annual assessment and is expecting to start receiving them in November. Now that concludes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Caitlin, I had a quick question on the wastewater fund under personnel.
Yes,
With the vacancy with the superintendent, it says allows savings to cover the cost of 3 interim supervisors. So essentially that means we raised their salary. Those 3 had salary increases because of their extra duties now, correct?
We bumped their salaries up 5%.
5% on each one. Okay. Okay. Other questions, Brett?
Thank you, Mr. President. Caitlin, so if I'm understanding correctly, the ratepayers essentially have increased the disposal of recyclables and organics than we may have projected. Am I correct on that?
yes,
Okay, so that's the reason. So the cost went up on that. So I get that. Now on the recycling, if I'm reading correctly, says basically that will come in, you know, at budget, even though it increased by just a smidge, right? Give or take.
yes. I mean, it's the first 3 months, so I'm expecting it to be fluctuate the next 9 months. So the recycling accounts, I think it should be okay.
Okay, and then organics projected, obviously, but that's projected with the increase to be over by about 95 grand. So what is coming in under budget to bring the final projection to 47 grand?
So if you look at the attachment B, the first page under contingency, we have 50,000. If you for maintenance operations and all the accounts, if you go to the last account called contingency, we have $50,000 in contingency there.
And okay, so explain that then to me. The contingency will offset the 95, leaving 47, whatever projected, but what makes up that contingency?
So during the budget process, there's revenue coming in and there's expenses, and the difference between revenue and expenses, we had $50,000. And we didn't budget for anything for that $50,000. So there's that account contingency that I placed that $50,000 in, just in case if we have anything unexpected such as this to
Okay.
cover for that.
Now, just, again, first 3 months, I get it. So, but at the end of the day, if that trend continues at 95, but something else like maybe the recyclables continue to go up, that 50 may or may not cover the budget loss. But right now you're using it saying, all right, if this was our final, year end, we would apply that 50 to offset that 95 grand. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, all right, great, thank you.
And as you can see, there's also liability insurance. We didn't budget enough, slightly, in wastewater, solid waste, we're under by 2,000. So that's why the negative 95, negative 2,000 plus the 50,000, that's 47,000 negative.
Gotcha. Well, President Schaefer can take care of the two on the insurance.
And the thing that's so hard is at SDRMA, we prepare the budget, we're ready to go in June, I think, when we send the bills out. And invariably, some reinsurer or excess lines carrier comes in and says, oops, we made a mistake. And I've been very vocal at our board meetings. That's ridiculous. That is absolutely insane. They're dealing with JPAs all over the country, and they can't get their rate down. They blame it on us being in California, of course, but it's really a sore thumb point for me. I gotta tell you. So I'm on a crusade.
I'll keep up the good fight.
It's ridiculous. Bob?
Dr. Eccles, I think the organic tonnage varies over the year and it goes down somewhat in the winter, so this is not a good reflection of the total.
It will go down.
It'll go down
Talking-
in the winter.
They're talking about as wet a winter as last year, this year, so we'll see. It's good for the golf courses.
What drives the members away.
Yeah, exactly. This is simply a receive and file as well, so we'll receive it and file it. Thank you, Caitlin. Appreciate that
Thank
hard work. Item 4, Scott.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President, just your standard report that's submitted to you on a quarterly basis. This is your 2023 performance measurement report for the second quarter, and we do our performance measurement reports on a calendar year. So this is based from January through September of 2023. So happy to answer any questions you may have.
The background information, the green sheets.
That's the next item, strategic plan. Yes.
Our EMOD continues to go down. We're still paying for that guy that fell off the truck, I assume.
Yes, but it should fall off this year.
I'm saying because we're at the 3-year mark, so that hopefully will get down. Okay. Bob?
Scott, sometimes the staff changes the the goal. I guess I would like to see something at the, periodically when staff does that, and they don't do it that often. Notice somewhere in a word format or paragraph, because I'm going through and then I'm surprised sometimes that, the goal has changed, maybe appropriately, but it is changed, and I don't think we have that information.
Okay, any other questions? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. Scott, on the, can you walk me just briefly through the employee wellness program? Because when I'm looking at it, half of the employees find value and the other half don't, and thus half are participating and half aren't. But can you walk me through maybe what's all entailed in that program?
think that's the $1 million question. Why some employees feel value and why don't? And we're still trying to find that out. But with our wellness program, we definitely try to incentivize employees to participate. So that's where we have fun games to play that's health related, and whoever comes out, the winner, we give them nice little gifts, to try to encourage them to participate. Sometimes it might be just convenience. Sometimes some of the games we play, you have to document, your activity, and sometimes staff doesn't want to do that, So this year we're looking at an app, where it can be easily tracked on the app, and very limited usage by staff. It's very easy for them to track their productivity. So we're looking at different ways of doing things. Yes, I know that number is very low, but the good news is, there's a lot of room for improvement. We want to increase that, but staff is continually working on how do we get more people involved. But we're always looking for new ways, new programs to improve employees' health.
But is it, talk about, so what, the employees come here to corporate once a month or once a quarter, or how's that work to play these games and activities?
A lot of the stuff is they do it at home, or it's after work, like a walking, I'll give you a walking challenge, right? Who can take the most steps, right? And so that's yes, it's here at work, but it's also during the weekends, and they could track that on their phone. That was one of the more successful challenges we had, because you would download an app and they could just easily track how many steps they walked. Whoever took the most steps, they win a nice prize. Another challenge we had was eating, healthy eatings, so we would require them to take a picture and tell us, hey, what did you eat, and it just varies on it. So it does not require someone to be here to participate in these challenges. It's just trying to change people's behavior on being more healthy.
But some of it is on their personal time. And then I imagine, though, if I'm working at the yard and there's an activity here, I don't have time to come here and do that. I'm just paraphrasing my own feeling if it were me, right?
Yeah, well, we try to, again, everything's inclusive. Like I said, we do have our all hands meetings once a month. So if there's something we do together on one list, then that's when we'll do it. Like tomorrow, for example, we usually have our all hands meeting after our board meeting. So it's good up to everyone that comes together, and we can talk about wellness. In fact, we do talk about wellness. Tanisha does give wellness tips every month on staying healthy.
Yeah, because we just went through this with my own company with a mandate. Is this a mandate, or is this just we want to do this? Okay.
Not a mandate at all. It's just try to promote healthy work-life balance. That's what we're just trying to do, is make sure that physical and also mental. I think mental is another big issue that I think you see a lot of public agencies don't focus on mental health. And so we really try to focus on mental health in our program as well.
I got, from my own experience, 50% is actually high. We got 10, and it wasn't even, I'm just saying, I don't know if that number is going to go up. If I'm taking pictures of the food I'm eating, I ain't sharing. And I'm a huge health proponent. I work out and I try and eat healthy, but I'm not going to share that with all of you people. I mean, I don't know. I would be shocked if that number went up, is all I'm saying.
I'm up
From our standpoint, thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Tanisha does a really good job, and her and Diana work hard to improve those numbers, coming with innovative programs to encourage more employees to participate. So I'm optimistic. I believe that number is going to go up.
Okay. Well, good luck. Thank you.
Okay, so this is one time where you stumped me, because I was going to bring up the same subject. I know we have a wellness thing through State Farm, and we get a cash reduction on our health insurance if we do certain things.
There you go. I'll participate.
No, wait a minute. On my $3,000 a month health insurance, I get a $15 credit.
All right.
But it's $15, a month.
Yeah.
Is this driven through just us, or does the health insurance provider have any input in this?
It's driven by us, it's driven by staff, but
Okay.
we do solicit their feedback, their assistance. Like we said, we have a health fair here.
Right.
And so we encourage the healthcare agencies to attend and give us advice, give us suggestions. But it is staff driven
We do our health insurance through SDR.
first.
Oh, through PERS, okay. Okay, that makes sense, but 46% to me wouldn't be such a big problem, except that we're so small. I mean, if we were 1,000 employees,
Yep.
46 would be great, but I think just being able to provide those things that we do, I think is a benefit. I think somewhere along the line, the employees appreciate, in fact, I know they do. But if they don't want to participate,
Yeah, it's not mandatory. So, we don't make it mandatory. It's just for their benefits, and we encourage them to participate because we think it's fun, have these fun, challenging games. And
for the benefit of those that have participated, I think we should continue to do it.
You have an established number for the average daily pipeline cleaning, or there's a goal. Do you have does staff have any idea what private contractors' numbers are?
we don't.
Well, usually they're significantly higher than this, or what I don't want to see happen is that staff have to hurry to try to meet a particular goal.
That-
I want some thinking behind how that goal was established.
Well, the goal established because we want to clean the entire system within 12 months. We actually within 220 days. And so you just do the math, and that's how we come up with that number.
Well, that is exactly what the number is, because it
Right.
said 220 days and you multiply it out.
Right. That's how we get, that's our goal is to clean 224 miles within 20.
But it's your established goal.
Yes, it's our established goal. Yes.
Our or your or who?
It's the boards, because you establish that goal of cleaning. That's why we hired a third crew. 'Cause you want to clean the entire system within 12 months. So.
Yeah, Bob, what I found over years of managing collection systems is if you clean an 8-inch pipe once a year, your risk of an SSO will go down significantly. And that's one of the reasons, I'll be honest with you, we gave our 8-inch sewers away over to East Orange County Water District, because it's those little sewers that need more frequent cleaning. So I think it's a good goal. It's something that we should continue to strive for. And I agree with our general manager that it's something we should be working real hard to meet, because that is a big influencer on how many SSOs we have. I think the last couple of spills were, I'm going to say, grease and soft material related. And so making sure our sewers are clean will go a long way to preclude spills.
Just talking from my experience managing the department before you did.
yeah, but that's when you had to put everything on a chalkboard. Wow. Just a curiosity question on the performance measure regarding PRAs. It's taking us longer to do a PRA relatively. Are we getting more PRAs this year than we have in the last couple of years?
Want to stress on this measure, though, this is 6 days. We'll give them the documentation.
No, I get it. I just, with that difference, I mean, when you look at the blue chart and average number of days, and it just, I wondered if that was indicative of us getting more PRAs, that right there. Is
Yes,
that true?
we definitely received more, and the volume of documents that they requesting is a lot more. So it takes a little more time, but still coming in at 6 days with stuff, because by law, we could still, we
With
only
14.
respond within 10 days.
Right, for 10 days.
We're giving them the documents within 10 days.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm good with the 6 days. I was curious to know if, what kind of PRAs are we getting? Is that a fair question?
Some of them are public works related, so they're looking for contracts, they're looking for proposals, the winning proposals. things of that nature. Some of them are looking for easements, some of them are corporate or construction watchdogs, making sure that we went through the proper bidding processes, so that type of stuff.
Okay.
What percentage is the public asking for them?
Very minimal. And I would say that it's probably minimal because we have all of our records online, so they're able to retrieve it themselves.
Is that how you direct them online?
We do.
Okay, any other questions on this item? I think this is a receive and file as well. Okay, then let's go to the next item, item 5.
Thank you, Mr. President. So this is your, again, another standard report that we submit to the board on a quarterly basis. This is your progress report for your 2020 strategic plan. And this is for under the fiscal year. This is our first quarter for 23-24. So happy to answer the questions you may have.
Good. You got a question, Art?
I just was looking through how many pages that was. That was pretty extreme.
This is our most extensive strategic plan yet since I've been here. Yes, it's a very aggressive approach. A lot of, I think, as I mentioned in the staff report, we've gone from trying to achieve 48 goals to over 100 goals in the 5-year period. So it's very aggressive.
So we go to 25. When sometime in the middle of next year, will you start planning, or do we wait until 25?
Probably in the fall 24-25, we'll start planning.
The last couple of strategic plans we've done internally instead of
Yes. we do
going
hire
outside.
consultants.
Saved us a lot of money, I think. Again, receive and file, any comments or question? All right, then let's get to the right. And engineers report.
I've just got a couple projects I want to point out to you this month. Project 327, the calcium removal. I've received the plans and specifications. I'm taking a look at them, and I guess I'm really happy to advise the board that it looks like we're going to do about 4,000 feet out of the 6,000 feet of calcium laden sewers that we have. I was talking with Mike Benish from RBH, and when we were looking at the last 2,000 feet, we actually think we could wait several years before we go out and do any work on those pipelines, because they're very, very thin coatings of calcium on those sewer pipelines. And so once we're done with this, I'll really call it the first phase, but it actually is phase number 2, because we did the test on a 300 or 600 foot segment of pipe. I think we'll have basically all the heavily impacted pipes will all be cleaned after this project. So again, that will significantly reduce the potential for a sanitary overflow when we're done with this project. And then just to point out, our project 342, you'll see our landscaping has actually started. We've got skid loader out there, and they're clearing and grubbing, getting the roots out. And then after that, will be soil amendments and irrigation and things like that. So, questions?
Is it a mechanical cleaning system or is it chemical cleaning or both?
We're going to use mechanical. It's a chain flail type system. I know it was a concern. I was concerned. I know my predecessor was concerned with that, and we were looking at high pressure, like a 50,000 PSI robotic pressure cleaner that we have crawl into the sewer. But that would have been, that was very, very, very expensive proposition based on how long it took for the robot to clean the calcium off of the pipeline. So we ran a test about a year or so ago, and we had Sancon run a chain flail through about 450. So I'll say between 300 and 600 feet of pipeline in a residential neighborhood. And we took it right off, no problem, no cracked clay, everything went really well. So based on that, we think, and that's why we think we're gonna be able to do this much pipe using that method. The other methods are the vendors or the contractors can bid using the high pressure water They could use chemicals, but I don't think they're going to be competitive with the mechanical cleaning method.
Been a question ever since I've been on the board. I'm
Well, I guess we'll see.
glad to see you finally figured out a way to attempt to do it.
You do the procedure and then you send a camera in to see the result.
Yes, yes, we can't hardly get a camera through some of the pipelines right now because they're so full of calcium, but yes, we'll be doing. In fact, what I plan to do, it'd probably be February, March timeframe now or so. I'll share a video during one of the study sessions.
Questions for Mark? I'm gonna make this a quasi question.
Okay,
After reading the general manager's report last week, I'm really concerned about South Coast Plaza. I think we've got a potential big problem over there with with an SSO, especially with the claim jumper who didn't take their due diligence. What are we gonna do with it? And I'm sure you've already talked to people over there, but what are we gonna do about South Coast Plaza?
I just received a report today from EEC. All the restaurants at South Coast Plaza are in compliance with the
Okay.
exception of Claim Jumper. So to repair their grease interceptor is going to require some additional I think confined space entry. And they're working with their plumber right now. So we're on top of it. I get a report back from EC every week where the status is. That is priority number one in my book is claim jumpers, grease interceptor. getting
Yeah.
repaired.
The problems is this just a matter of negligence or why did they do what they did, or is it just?
It's hard to say when the waste hauler vehicles go in there to pump out the grease interceptors, as you're aware. Sometimes they get a little rambunctious with their stinger tube. And there's a curtain between the front half of the interceptor tank and the second half. And it looks like, when we went out and took a look at this thing, it looks like the waste hauler probably damaged their baffle. And rather than report it, somebody just put it back in place so they wouldn't have to pay for it. And unfortunately, it doesn't take much.
That's negligence.
Yeah, well, I would agree on that. But we figured out what it was, and our general manager has asked EEC to go out there, not just quarterly, but monthly now, and check all of the restaurants. And then we have another one coming up. We're gonna do the same thing with Triangle Square.
Are they having issues there, or is EEC seen some issues?
Well, we've seen issues.
They put a buffalo wing place in there and it all goes to hell, right?
Perhaps.
That's not Triangle Square though.
Well, I don't know where.
Courtyard, I'm sorry, that's Courtyards. That's Courtyard. Yeah, go ahead, Brent.
I was gonna bring this up later, so I'm glad you brought it up since we're on the subject now, but my question, you just asked it, but my follow-up then would be, when was the last time we did an overall inspection at South Coast?
I can get back to you on that, but I think it was not more than 2-3 months ago. And I think at that point they were in compliance. And based on talking to staff, we've only seen heavy grease in the last 3 or 4 months. And then South Coast staff, who's maintaining their sewers, they reported to me and Scott the same thing, that they're seeing an increase. And so I've asked our staff, and we've asked South Coast staff to contact me if they start to see grease again in their sewers, so that we can go back out, maybe out of sequence and sooner than later to go do reinspection. So I will say South Coast Plaza is they're willing to work with us, and they want us to go in there and do what we need to do. I guess ultimately it sounds like the relationship is they lease the space to the restaurants, and the restaurants are responsible for their fog programs. So that frustrates me a little bit, but that's something we'll have to think about in the future.
But if I heard correctly, now we're going monthly right now, at least for the short.
It's typically been quarterly, and now we're going monthly.
All the months we'll reevaluate the frequency early next year.
Yeah, and Director Eccles, what we're planning to do is we've cleaned our sewer, they cleaned their sewers, and we plan in about a month and a half or two, our staff's going to go back out and try to re-CCTV the sewers, and we want to take a look to see if there's a particular sewer where there is more grease buildup than maybe the others. And so right now with everything clean, we think we have a baseline. We'll go back out, we'll check it, and we'll see what the regrowth of the grease is. And then if we have to take more aggressive steps, we will.
All right, thank you.
I have this vision of a big SSO coming out of the claim jumper and the Prada store and the Gucci store all having 3 inches of sewer in their place. That'll get things fixed in a heartbeat, I think. Alan, I'm sorry.
Mr. President, I was just going to say that I was listening to Mark, and maybe I don't have all the facts, but the property owner may have shifted responsibility to the restaurants, but that doesn't relieve the property owner's responsibility to us if there's a spill. So we can go after
Yeah.
both, but
I
he
appreciate
may
you
look
saying
to
that.
the restaurant owner to do it, but we can look to both.
Good. Thank you for saying that. Okay, anything else for Mark? All right, thank you. Item G, Mark Davis.
Thanks, Mr. President, board members. This is your quarterly review of your investment portfolio. Today in the markets, the Dow closed at 32,936, was down 191 on the day. And the last few quarters that we've talked, we've seen the Dow be up and up, but now it's taken a turn year to date. Now it's below where we started at the beginning of the year. It's down 211 points from the beginning of the year. Since we last spoke, the Fed did increase rates one more time, another 1/4 point. So they've gone up 11 increases at 5.25 points. Since they started increasing, they did meet in September. There was no increase in September. There's 2 more meetings yet to go this year. At their last meeting, they talked about whether they should make an additional rate hike or not, and the Board of Governors is pretty mixed on that. And 12 of them felt that, yeah, you should. 7 felt no, don't need to increase. So we'll see how that plays out on the next couple meetings. From an inflation perspective, September inflation was 3.7%. And that's ticked up over the last quarter. Every month has gone up just a little bit more since we spoke in July. Year to date, inflation is at 4.43%. The markets have been impacted a little bit with the Israel-Hamas war. Right after the war had broke out, we saw jumps in crude oil and gold, and the U.S. dollar all went up, but they have since leveled off in price. But experts out there, the markets are thinking that you're going to see probably increase in gas prices as this thing drags on, as well as probably some disruption in international travel that could happen. Investors are tending to, when this kind of stuff happens, they tend to have a flight to safety. So you'll see more investments in treasuries, the dollar, and gold. And gold, for example, it was trading today at $1,984 an ounce, up from $1,824 an ounce at the beginning of the year, $160 an ounce up. Bringing everything back local to your portfolio, you're earning 2.044% at September 30th. During the quarter, or during the last month, we did have 2 investments matured, 2 certificates of deposit, one at 2 years, one was 2.5 years. They were earning 0.4 and 0.25. So it's nice to see those fall off of your portfolio. We replaced one of those with another negotiable CD at 5.5% for 1.25 years. The other CD that matured, we needed to bring it back in for cash flow reasons. This is the period that we're have our short cash flow, and with the emergency work that was done at the beginning of the year, it kind of strained a little bit the portfolio as far from a cash flow perspective. So we brought that back in to be able to meet cash flow needs. From a class update, we're at the 1-year mark now from when you guys had, when the board had authorized the investment in class, and to date, we have 2.1 million sitting at class. When we first invested, they had 156 million under management, and they're at 753 million under management now. So they continue to grow. Class is earning 5.52% on a daily basis. In the last 30 days, they had earned 5.48%. So that's all I got for this quarter. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
How does that 5.5 relate for a year? Does it go up and down?
It's, well, they've been over 5 the whole time. And again, like we talked last quarter, when they formed in California, rates were really high. So they were starting out 0 and they're buying and earning at a much higher rate than like Leif, who was already saddled with a lot of lower earning investments. And Leif is only at the very low 3% right now. So there's a big spread between Leif and Class right now. What we've been doing is we had most of our liquid and cash was sitting in Leif, and we started building up investments in Class a little bit over time to get up to the 2 million mark. As we've needed funds, we've been pulling down out of Leif and using that. So Leif is at the lowest we've ever had it. It's only sitting about 200,000 as of right now. We want to try to get that to next month. I think Caitlin had mentioned we're going to get our first allocation of your annual charge next month. It's not a very big one, but when we get to December, we'll be fully replenished at that point in time.
We have an amount that we have to keep in Lathe.
No.
Didn't we do that originally?
No, there was never a minimum threshold that you had to have there. It's we could put 100% of our portfolio in one day. We could take out 100% the next if we wanted to.
It's interesting. I got a note from Social Security Administration about my Social Security benefit, and they announced a 3.7% increase, I think it was, in our Social Security benefit for next year. Everybody else is getting like 5 and 6% COLA increases, and I'm only getting 3. It's not fair. Anyway, you don't even worry about your Social Security. I know. Don't look at me like that.
You're looking at Bob.
Yeah, look at Bob.
I haven't.
You could protest.
Yeah, it'll do a lot of good. This is an action item to accept the report, so I'll look for a motion.
I'll move for approval, investment report.
This is action.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Carries unanimous. Thanks, Mark. All right. Counselor, I think you're up.
I have no formal presentation, but I think we all saw that the state has now allowed those who build ADUs to sell the ADUs separately from the main resident. It's like amazing. They did that.
Can you imagine being a real estate agent and doing that? What if the ADU is connected to your regular house?
Gonna be a fun full house.
It's gonna be a mess. Thank you, Alan, for bringing that. It's
All I had.
when we do ADUs, when they come to us to do the addition, we still put all the sewer under the main home, don't we? We don't separate between the ADU and the main house. Do you know, Mark?
Yes, it depends, I guess I'm gonna say it depends on the property owner, the contractor, but most plumbers and contractors don't want to go through the middle of the house because then they have to saw cut, they gotta put the plumbing in, they gotta re-pour. So most of them will tie into at the property line near the front of the house and run a sublateral to the back to the ADU if it's in the backyard or in the front yard, or in some of the cases where there's alleys, they'll just run off the side and go right into the ADU. We like them that way because that way the main house, if there's a stoppage there, it doesn't stop the service from the ADU. So we prefer to have the sublateral approach to.
It's better for billing too. I mean, we can bill them separate.
Not, only if they go all the way out to the street do we build them separately.
But what's gonna happen is we're gonna have mini condo associations all over the place. So they do it in Newport. Newport's got a ton of 2-unit condominium, which require CC&Rs and bylaws and everything. Yeah, we're gonna see the same thing with the ADUs. Those people are gonna form little co-ops or condos.
Yeah, that's in our future, and that's something that I've been thinking about, and I'm not sure how we approach it, but at some point we may have to do the same thing with our ordinances, is look at requiring ADUs to go all the way out to the street, and then we can assess them separately. Or if it's an HOA, like you say, then it's a little slightly different. There's common lines and not common lines, and that's something we'll have to deal with, I guess, when the time comes.
Should we be prepared for that now, though?
I'm not sure when that's gonna happen. I haven't seen any yet, at least not from, I mean, it's interesting you said Newport Beach, because a portion, we do service a portion of Newport Beach, but I haven't seen any of those yet.
Those condos are all down, at least the ones I know of are all down on the beach. They're, off of Newport Boulevard or the main street that goes through Newport. So our service area probably
Santa
is,
Ana is doing it too.
yeah.
You already,
Have a condo there.
I was gonna, let me add that when that does come to our service area, I think if it's you called it a mini HOA, I'm not sure what the official term is called, but an HOA to me is an HOA, and I think that we can handle it, and but let's see what happens when they start showing up at our doorstep. And if we have to make them, I guess, changes to our ordinance or another document, we'll do so, but let's see let's see what happens.
and Mr. President, we do have provisions in our operations code already that requires either an agreement or an HOA for multiple units to be on one line. We already have the skeletal requirement in the ordinance. The only thing we have to keep up with is the state legislation that says, and you shall not consider it as this or that, and it changes what your ordinance says. So we've just got to be on top of that. But like Director Perry said, yes, it is a good idea. We do have to anticipate, because these laws are coming down so fast that we've got to try and stay ahead of the curve.
A lot of contracts.
So as a follow-up to that, Alan, might be a dumb question, but okay, so typically in my world, I would think, okay, I'm gonna either use my ADU for my kids, grandkids, blah, blah, or I'm gonna rent it out to whomever. But now we're able to sell them as a separate house because Sacramento's brilliance. How does that work then with us? Because two separate homeowners now on the same property, connected or not connected, how does that even shape up?
You're right. And we have to assess the property. We have two different owners being assessed with no property line. We've got to figure this out. Look, Sacramento threw us a problem that we have to sort out.
That's amazing.
Well, that's never happened before, has it?
Wow.
Sorry.
No, I was just thinking, I'm like, how is that gonna work? It's gonna be a nightmare, it sounds like.
Says
So,
already.
get ready. All right.
Thank you for your input. All right, let's go to local meetings. And Bob, you want to start us off?
Yeah, actual board meeting, Orange County 10 District Board meeting will be this Wednesday, but I did attend the Operations Committee meeting earlier in the month, first Wednesday of the month, and it was basically a lot of rehabilitation of sewers and scrubbers and their plant facilities, so I'll be at the meeting next Wednesday, this Wednesday.
Then anything on the luncheon for Friday, we just show up?
Yeah, and I think it's 11.
I'll try to get there early.
And
because
yeah,
they want me to attend with the.
You have a meeting beforehand?
Yeah.
Okay. Good, look forward to it. Sarfa, anything to report from Sarfa? Okay. Anything to report on ISDOC?
On ISDOC, I didn't attend that in-person meeting. So I don't know if any of you did.
I missed the meeting
So,
myself,
so I'll be reporting at ISDOC on CSDA on what's going on there. And then the board secretary clerk conference is November 6th through the 8th. And they have over 320 people already attending, but that was a month ago. So I'm sure it's even more by now. And let's see what else. The membership in CSDA is growing. It's in the 1,300 and some odd members now. So we're doing really well. The finance committee, I'm on these committees. That's why I know these things. And the finance committee is doing fantastic. I mean, people are coming for loans, different districts. And so we're doing really good. And let's see, and the professional development committee that I'm on, of course, they just finished in Monterey doing a great job, I guess. Where they turned around and gave awards out. And some of you went to it. So that's it.
For SDRMA, I will just announce to all of you, I think maybe I've done this, but we had a retirement from the SDRMA staff. Ellen Dougherty, who is the member services director, announced her retirement. So her retirement was December 22nd, I think. But CEO Brian decided that it would be in the best interest of SDRMA to put her on administrative leave, so she's no longer operating. So if you could pass this on to Diana, anything that needs to go to Ellen from member services should go to Brian Blakely, the CEO. Ellen is no longer working, but she's involved. So that's all I'm gonna say. We have a board meeting, SDRMA board meeting next Wednesday and Thursday, but I've opted to do it virtual so that I can be here for our event. Saved me having to fly to Sacramento, so thank you guys. The other meeting I'll report on will be the liaison committee meeting last Friday. We could really shorten those meetings up if it wasn't for one of the districts, but I won't mention which one.
But you did a good job.
Well, we had two items on there. The FDC, I'm sorry, not the FDC, the collaboration, which we skipped, I told them. And I talked about the Eco Expo, and it was very well received. We'll see how many of them show up. I promised them all a free ice cream bar, so hopefully that'll get some of them to show up. It was very well received. The write-up, thank you to staff. When I mentioned that they were able to come here and talk trash, they all lit up. So thank you, Gina, whoever wrote this. Interesting comments from the city on some of the projects they're doing. Two things I'll bring up. They are getting ready to repave Adams Avenue from Royal Palm, I think down all the way down to the bottom, to the river. So I'm sure they've talked to you guys about that in case we need to do anything. That is probably the worst street in Costa Mesa. It is so bad driving down Adams, so that was a nice thing. The other thing that they brought up, the police department was there and made a presentation about Narcan, that they're offering Narcan to various groups that want to have that. I don't know if that's something we want to get involved in, if you want the street guys or the outside staff to have Narcan training. I don't know. I just thought I'd bring it up.
It's to combat fentanyl overdoses, which are on the increase. And the Narcan's, if it's administered incorrectly, it has no side effects. So,
Having a son who's a cop, I would have thought I knew that. I didn't know that. But if you give someone Narcan and they don't need it, there's no effect. It doesn't do anything. It's only if there's an opioid in the system that it has any effect.
so they've given it, they've trained teachers, and the police force and the fire department actually uses it and an injection system. So they're a little different.
I don't know if the police department's going to contact you guys, but just so you know. Okay. The next meeting is January 19th, and it'll be by us. And we won't have any trouble with our breakfast outshining Mesa Water's breakfast. No problem at all. Breakfast burritos in a container. It's just,
Half a breakfast burrito.
Better watch out for wellness checks, though.
yeah.
Could be carrots and fruit.
Gluten-free bagels, okay? Is there such a thing? I'm sure there.
Oh,
Yeah.
there is.
All right, any other meetings? Anybody? Bob?
I went to Waco and the focus there was on the Central Valley's groundwater. Horribly overused. Agriculture is pumping it out faster, so fast that a lot of residents' wells don't work anymore. Then I went to the OC Summit, Water Summit. And they explained a program that they're going to use where they're going to take a pipe with holes in it and bury it underneath the delta in places and get water, and that's gonna, for the most part, head towards the Central Valley. What they had was a special airborne electromagnetic survey ability, so they could find how to capture the Sierra runoff and get it into the groundwater. And I thought that was pretty interesting. At the OC Water Summit, they actually brought in a professor from Florida who had tremendous amount of data that tried to make the case that climate change does not exist. And it was interesting. We're hotter in California, the Midwest is cooler, and he had all kinds of data. Then they talked about the Huntington Beach desal program, where it would have supplied water to Orange County for 360,000 residents. But they didn't mention the groundwater replenishment system that now supplies potable water to 1 million residents at a fourth the cost. Anyway.
It was an interesting Waco meeting. I mean, hopefully they've gotten the idea about some of these speakers. This one was somewhat interesting. I thought that the lady who did the presentation seemed to know what she was talking about. It was
And
good.
she was a Stanford
smart.
professor.
Yes. Okay. No old business or new business, so any oral communications from staff or the board? Anything? Yes, sir.
Two questions. First, Scott, is it next month at our study session, we're gonna have the final survey that everyone's come up with?
You're talking about the citizen survey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The results will be presented to you at your November board meeting.
November board meeting. Okay, got it. And then, now I just lost my train of thought, but, I had one more, Mark, that project last month, I think we talked about rebidding. Is that out, or is that still in the planning stages, or any update on that?
It's with our consultant right now. We contacted the electrical engineer to make the changes that we were talking about, the biggest change, which was reusing the electrical cabinet. And I think he killed him. I say that jokingly, but he actually passed away the first week of October. So we had a little bit of a delay. We're trying to find an electrical engineer who will take over his designs. And as you're aware, a lot of engineers don't want to take over somebody's designs because they're worried about accepting a liability if there's a problem. So we're working through some issues. I don't think we'll get back to you in December. I really honestly think it'll be January, or February before we get back to you.
All right, thanks for that update. And then finally, I'd like to thank Mark Davis for confirming and justifying for me that I could show my wife this video, that why she's not getting gold this Christmas. So thank you for that, and save me a gold necklace, and we'll buy her some Exxon stock since that's doing well. So awesome. Thank you.
I was gonna start looking for people with gold teeth, so I actually had a friend whose uncle during World War II, as bad as this sounds, carried pliers with him when he was in the South Seas. And if he found deceased Japanese
Oh,
soldiers,
wow.
he would pull the gold out of their teeth. He became a big jeweler in Garden Grove. That's how he got his start. So
Wow.
be careful if someone comes at you with pliers.
Yeah.
If there's nothing else, then I will adjourn us to Eco Expo, November, and we're supposed to be here at 3.
At 2:00.
Who you want us here at 2?
2:00 for the tree planting ceremony.
I can't make it at 2, but I'll be after practice. I'll be here.
For the tree plantings. I told you the last time I was in the tree planting thing was at City Hall. We died, the tree died. So. We are adjourned.